We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an update in the trial against Tory Lanez, and we're not going to waste your time. We're coming in right now with defense attorney Pam Campbell. Pam, what's going on, Pam?
Yes, what's going on? We had a good morning.
A good morning. Okay, how was it a good morning? Who was the first witness called, Pam?
So when we first got up there, of course, there was the preliminary matters, and the prosecution let it be known that they wanted to bring up an officer, Sandra Cobral. She basically had some. She was on the scene. She was responsible for putting the handcuffs on Kelsey, and she wanted to show the body cams. That was the purpose of her being on there. So some body cams showed Kelsey when she was on the ground, when she was handcuffed, when she was walked over to the side, and she did have like blood dripping on her leg. You can see that. You can also see blood on the ground, presumably from Meg. And then it showed the body camera also showed Meg limping away. I guess it was another officer that dealt with her, but the body cam from this officer also showed her limping away as well over to where when she was going to the EMS. So the point of it apparently was for completion of the body cam, and also to show that there was blood that was on Kelsey. Um, that type of information that came out prior to.
We learned that part during the listening to the interview about the blood being on her leg. Who was the first witness that was called?
Hi, I'm sorry, I couldn't
Who
hear
was
you.
the first witness called today?
That was Officer Cobra, the one that I just told you about.
Okay. So
The
that
second witness that was called again, recalled, if you recall, that the criminal investigator, Julia Little,
okay.
she came back on there, and her purpose was, if you recall last week, the defense brought up some lyrics from the diss track of Kelsey against Meg. So
I
detect,
think
I
it was
don't know.
busting shots or something like that.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So since that came up, they had Detective Little come up. She basically said, Jody Little, I'm sorry, I said Julie. She took the stand saying she reviewed the rap lyrics. So they showed certain parts. The prosecutor showed certain parts of the rap lyrics to show that she says she isn't the one that shot Meg, and it was called "Bussin' Back." And
Busting
so
back.
she
Busting
started out with the who I'm taking shots of, bitch, I'm twisting back. So
right.
yeah, the prosecutor was saying some of the lyrics to it, so they went over some of the lyrics to it. Of course, defense crossed her and said, wasn't Kelsey saying that Meg was a liar all up and through these these lyrics? So that was kind of their cross. Detective Little was she was a little bit more compliant with the prosecutor than with the defense. The defense had to really try to pull out of her, what do you remember? What do you not remember? Were you telling the truth? But what the defense did bring up is that this afternoon, Sean Kelly, who is the independent witness, is supposed to testify in the afternoon. So we'll see what he has to say about what he saw.
Well, hold on. Sean Kelly is the defense witness, correct?
Correct?
So did the prosecution arrest?
They did not.
So what you as a defense attorney, do you have an issue with these? You have the second witnesses being called out of turn without resting by the prosecution. How is that to be read? Is that going to be read from a jury's perspective that maybe the prosecution witness? I don't know.
Well, it's been a lot of issues in this case, and sometimes it happens. I've never seen it happen to this degree. Yes, I've seen it happen. I think we talked about that before. One of the issues too is they did mention a witness that they're trying to find. They didn't say their name, but the prosecution did say that there is a witness that they are trying to find, and they hope that that person will be there tomorrow. And then the alternative, just not to hold up the trial, they would ask that they be allowed to reopen proofs. Because what happens is once you close your case and you rest, you're done unless you do a motion with the court to try to reopen proofs. So they wanted to get a stipulation, I guess, that they can reopen if this person does not show up. They didn't say who the name was. They just said
Okay,
if this
okay.
person didn't show up.
I've seen this happen one time, and this is almost like the prosecution is getting a second bite at the apple and presenting their case. How problematic can that be for the defense that they now have to not only have to deal with a rebuttal and closing, but they're dealing with a reopening up another potential witness that could possibly be better.
Well, I would surmise though that if the defense agrees to that, it would be reopening for that purpose. It wouldn't just be reopening your case, because what I've noticed with the prosecution is they do come up with more stuff. Like every time we come, I was like, I got to get into that courtroom to see what's the issues they have now. And again, the defense is like, well, we never knew that they were going to, do this, have this person come on the stand. There's no need to talk about the body cams. So they wasn't feeling, but the body cams being introduced
Of
at all.
course.
But the judge
Of course.
allowed it. And then to have,
Oh my goodness.
Miss Little come back on the stand just for the purpose of, yes, I read the lyrics and I also listened to the audio. That was, the defense objected to that. Like, hey, that's hearsay. You should have asked that one, Kelsey. She's the one that can do that foundation. I don't believe that the detective can do the foundation, or Miss Little could do the foundation. That was their argument, but the judge overruled it and allowed it in.
It's interesting that they're going to bring this particular body cam up as relates to Kelsey. One of the things that I had a problem with watching, that this is not what's out there. This is what's the prosecutors bringing into court. So we didn't see all the body cam that that's out there. It was over during the course of this the prelims. What I noticed that was very disturbing was when Kelsey was placed on the ground, the cops asked her to spread. I thought that was just so awful and demeaning to Kelsey in light of what happened. Now they don't know what happened when she was on that ground, but isn't it like a way that they could see she had a swimmer suit on? Why didn't she do what she did and have it caught on body cam? Isn't that like problematic? Is that going to be looked upon against the prosecution when they see this in court?
I don't see. That's what they had on. Meg had on a bikini. They all of them got handcuffed. They made it real clear that all four of them got handcuffed. Wasn't no preference. Even Meg got handcuffed and she was bleeding from her feet. So they handcuffed everybody, and that was just kind of where they found them at. But another issue that came up too was when the investigator, the first officer came up, the prosecutor elicited testimony that Kelsey was concerned about Meg, like asking her, Meg, are you okay? So the defense came up and said, well, did you hear when my client asked Meg, or said, Meg, everything's going to be okay, or whatnot? I was trying to elicit that. And the officer said, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear anything. I wasn't really paying no attention to what
the body cam
Tory was saying. I was paying attention to Kelsey because she said she was assigned to Kelsey. So even though Kelsey was next to Tory, she don't know about their conversation, and she was saying she doesn't recall hearing Tory say that. But apparently,
the body cam would catch that if it did
clearly, because the defense attorney got it from somewhere, right?
Yeah, probably his client. Probably his client.
He got it from somewhere.
Okay, so let's talk about the jurors. How?
Hold on 1 second, because the prosecutors is kind of going by.
They probably watches it anyway, so it's okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Now, what was the mood of the jurors today? And was everyone still in position as they were the prior days?
Interesting enough, the guy came with the
not Mr. Coffee.
But interesting enough, they were saying,
do not judge Tory because of what I said. I'm here because of you were coughing too much. Just kidding. Go ahead.
But no, apparently there is some issue with the jury, and the judge said he was going to deal with that later. I don't know what that issue is. That was just a conversation they had off the record, that the prosecutor wanted to deal with some issue going on with one of the jurors. So we don't even know what that is at this point. It's always, we were just talking, this case is twists and turns. If you're not here, I don't think you can really relay. That's why I'm coming right out relaying it to you.
And that's what I'm telling people, ladies and gentlemen, who are watching this. You can see a tweet I make, or you can see something someone else is saying. But if you're not in the courtroom, or you have someone as competent as Pan Campbell in the courtroom, then guess what? You're kind of basically guesstimating what could have happened.
Yeah.
I've seen audio, I've seen video, I've listened to audio, seen video, as well as she did. And we had the opportunity to see the mood of the courtroom. Pam, I appreciate you. I know you about to go get your lunch, and I want you to get your.
I do want to point out one thing, though, is that for these people that came up this morning, the defense's whole theory was just to show how they somewhat are biased. You tend to not hear when Tory says, says, hey, Meg, oh, how's it going? But you hear when they do it. Oh, you tend to not see when she calls her a liar about the hush money, but you don't see that there's other places in the lyrics where she called her a liar. All of a sudden, you don't remember. I think the defense's last question after the prosecutor talked to Mrs. Little, the defense got up and said, oh, so now you remember all the questions, right? Oh, okay. That's it. That was like his last question. It was like, oh, now you remember everything.
And this is George, attorney. This is during the cross-examination, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so well, we got some good stuff here. We have another break. We have another 15-minute break, which is typical for the judge to do. And you'll have some small time. You won't be outside. You'll be in another location. We're not going to tell you our locations, but we have locations in the building. She'll come back up and we'll do another breakdown on the test.
Yeah, Dennis got all the hookups. I'm up in this mug like I'm Nancy Grace. He got me in here like Nancy Grace.
When you've been doing it as long as I've been doing it, I make sure I know what corners to turn and what corners not, what walls not to hit. I'll just say that. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Watch how we cover this trial. Black Media Matters. Dennis Byron, Pam Campbell. We'll be right back. I appreciate you, Pam. Thank you very much.
All right. Talk to you later.
I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage. We will be back as soon as we have another update. Make sure you are liking, sharing, support the platform. And I'm covering another case, as a matter of fact, the case of rapper Young Thug. Young Thug is in a hearing right now in the courtroom of Judge Glanville, Ulysses Glanville. And we're listening to some of the potential witnesses that will be taking a stand in this trial in January. And I see who's at the defense table right now, but I want to talk about some of the things that have come out, and that's going to be on our evening recap. But guys, please stay tuned in. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you turn your notifications on, because you never know what happens, man. This case with Tory Lanez it has more twists and turns, and we're just trying to make sense of it all. We're really trying to make sense of it all. We don't want to add anything or we don't want to subtract anything. We want to analyze the evidence, the arguments, and it's interesting that the judge has considered allowing the prosecution to open their case back up for a particular witness. Interesting. I'm Dennis Byron. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon. We out.